What is the biggest issue that you might have right now, whether it be realignment, NIL, transfer portal, and what would your plan maybe be to try to solve it?
I think they're all a problem, and I think we need to have a conference commissioner. I think football should be separate from the other sports. Just the fact that our school is leaving to go to the Big Ten in football, our softball team should be playing Arizona in softball. Our basketball team should be playing Arizona in basketball. But because football left, and they're saying, well, how do you do that? Well, Notre Dame's independent in football, and they're in a conference and everything else. I think we should all be independent in football.
Longtime football coach Chip Kelly gave the best answer we've heard on the current state of the game at the collegiate level.
And you can have a 64-team conference that's in the Power Five, and you can have a 64-team conference in the Group of Five. And we separate it, and we play each other. You can have the West Coast teams, and then every year we play 7 games against the West Coast teams, and then we play the East. So we play Syracuse, Boston College, Pitt, West Virginia, Virginia. Then the next year you play against the South while you still play your 7 teams. You can play a 7-game schedule. You can play 4 against another conference, another division opponent, and you can always play against one Mountain West team every year so that we can still keep those rivalries going. Not that I've really thought about this. Not that I've a lot of spent time on this. But I think if you went together collectively as a group and said there's 132 teams and we all share the same TV contract, so that the Mountain West doesn't have one and the Sun Belt doesn't have another and SEC has one and they have another, that we all go together. That's a lot of games, and there's a lot of people in the TV world that would go through it.
It only makes too much sense. More from Kelly.
You can sponsor each one. Instead of calling it Group of Five and Power Five, you can call it Amazon, Nike, bid that out to things. You know, a lot of different things. But I think if we still do the same thing and take all that money, and I would do this, and I think this needs to be done, that money now needs to be shared with the student athletes, and there needs to be revenue sharing. The players should get paid, and you can get rid of NLI, and the schools should be paying the players because the players are what the product is. And the fact that they don't get paid is really the biggest travesty.
Kelly's solution includes establishing a conference commissioner and having football break away from other sports, something he has advocated for in the past, as conferences such as, name any of the big ones, keep adding teams from, in some cases, both coasts. Kelly's ideal scenario is for a version of independence that leads to consolidation. Kelly envisions a 7-game slate against natural opponents, basically the Bruins' recent Pac-12 peers, and rotating tilts against other geographically aligned institutions from On 3. Part of Chip Kelly's solution was to break up the Power 5 and the Group of 5 into 2 conferences of their own. The Big 10, Big 12, and ACC will all have schools on both coasts starting in 2024, and one of the criticisms of realignment was the regional tradition is starting to go away. More in a moment. Kelly said he believes there should be one TV contract that includes every conference, where potential regional divisions are sponsored by brands and the overall media offering is stronger and more appealing to potential TV partners. And what was perhaps the staunchest point of his answer, Chip Kelly called for rev sharing between schools and players, which would alleviate a lot of the murkiness that NIL has brought to the sport in recent years. In the end, Kelly is correct. The biggest controversy with the CFP in the 4-team version of it is not who the best teams are, but who the best conferences are. That goes out the window with this format. And college football is heading to a 2-conference system down the road with the Big 10 and SEC, similar to the NFL with AFC and NFC. Chip Kelly is right on the money with all of this. Here's why it won't work, at least in the near future. There is too much power with too many individuals at play here, and you are asking them to cede that power in order for more individuals, specifically the players, to have a bigger chunk of the pie. The NCAA continues to show how tone deaf they are and how they will not get up with the times. And we've seen this through litigation with the court cases that reach the Supreme Court and even some that are coming up in the next few years. Chip Kelly advocating for pay or play, spot on. Trying to preserve rivalries, spot on. A conversation that I had with a family member recently was about the Chicago Blackhawks and how they no longer play the Detroit Red Wings, and how for us as fans, it sucks because the biggest rivalry in the Midwest, and you could make an argument for hockey, was Chicago against Detroit. Now we get it maybe once a year. It's not great. And that's because of conference realignment. It's somewhat more understandable when it comes to hockey, but still not having that rivalry is just atrocious. But having, as Chip Kelly said, USC, UCLA go and play Rutgers in football, and because the football teams want to go, that means there has to be track meets between Penn State and SC. Like, come on. He is right that it should be independent, that they should have a commissioner. I agree with all this. Is it going to happen? No. Because the Big Ten has accumulated, in essence, so much wealth through these deals to welcome prestigious schools like USC and UCLA, and now you're just saying, scrap it. They're not going to do it. These people are paid millions of dollars. And even if there could be more down the road for them, you are asking power-hungry people to cede it. It's just simply not in their DNA. So I hope this happens. I really do. And have, each conference division, however you want to phrase it, play one another and then play against your own. Cool. Like, I am fully with this. Because if there's any flaw that we have seen, it's that adding more teams to the college football playoff is better, but it is not the end road, and it cannot be the final solution.